It's my pleasure today to welcome our Solutions Showcase presenters from Cayuse. Catherine McGuire is a certified professional IACUC administrator with more than 6 years of experience in higher education and research administration. Prior to joining Cayuse in 2022, she supported multiple compliance committees within the University of Texas system, including IRB, IACUC, COI, and IBC, and brings hands-on experience in animal care and research operations. Jennifer Verna is a director of sales at Cayuse, where she partners with academic medical centers, healthcare systems, research institutions to modernize research administration. She brings more than a decade of experience in SaaS and research enterprise solutions with a focus on compliance, operational efficiency, and scalable workflows across the research lifecycle. We are pleased at PRIM&R to have them join us today to share their perspectives, capabilities, and I will now turn it over to the Cayuse team.
Thank you, Catherine. We really appreciate that awesome introduction. Catherine McGuire and I are together here in Tampa, Florida today. We're super excited to be here. We're going to be talking to you today, just a brief Cayuse background. Our time is really going to be spent inside of our IRIS compliance management overview, the solution of our products, and then we'll have some Q&A at the very end. So first and foremost, the mission of Cayuse, we really wanted to identify the fact that we provide solutions for organizations to really conduct global research, managing your compliance, managing your grants, really giving you the opportunity to advance your impact on science, discovery, and society. With that, we have a lot of different applications underneath our research suite. As I mentioned today, we're going to be focusing on compliance management with our IRIS applications. All of these applications, they really work together to provide you that full lifecycle management of everything that you do from a research perspective to give you time back in your day to focus on the research. And I'm going to turn it over to Catherine, who's going to walk us through the application.
Thank you, Jen. And thanks again to PRIM&R for having us. Specifically, when we go through the demonstration of our solution, we are going to be first touching on the transparent dashboards. So I'll show you how researchers can get easy access to their studies, disclosures, and all of the tasks that have been assigned to them across IRB, IACUC, IBC, as well as COI. We'll then go through the configurable smart protocol forms, ultimately aimed at helping to reduce administrative burden and also maintain a culture of compliance by making them easy to submit. We will then go through the simplified review process, giving you flexible workflows for faster reviews. And then we will wrap up with our in-app searches and reporting tools, giving you ease of access for your programmatic and your compliance needs. But first, starting on those transparent dashboards. So I'm going to go ahead and log into our compliance solution, IRIS. Right now, I'm logged in as a researcher, and this is where we are going to be able to access all of our studies, all of our disclosures, and any of the tasks that we have been assigned to within the system. Now, we do offer role-based specific dashboards, so that way you will have a tailored view based on your role at the organization. We are also going to be able to see various opportunities for in-app help as well as walkthrough tutorials. So here, for example, we do have this tutorial, and this is really going to support us in learning the new system, navigating, providing that onboarding support to really make the system easy to use by providing that built-in help. Okay. And I apologize if there is a little bit of a delay here. So within the dashboard as well, we are going to be able to take some key actions. So everything under these featured protocol operations, we can initiate a new application across the various compliance committees. We can start submission forms such as amendments, continuing reviews, closeouts, and things like that. We do support multi-site studies for single IRBs. So if you are the primary site and you do have participating sites who are submitting to your IRB, they are going to be able to support, we're going to be able to submit those local context forms here. We can view all of our current approvals for our protocols, so consent documents, approved forms, things like that. And then we are also going to be able to view and manage all of our studies on a more holistic level. This is going to anchor us a little bit further down on the dashboard to be able to see all of our studies broken out by various committees. So whether it's the IRB, an ancillary committee, or looking at IACUC, IBC, even a scientific review board, we're going to be able to see those different applications based on the different filters within the system. Back up at the top, I want to talk a little bit about tasks now. So within the system, we are going to be sending out tasks based on your assignments. So in addition to receiving an email, you're also going to be able to see a task appear on your screen, letting you know that you've been assigned to something. And up top, we can see a very high-level view on things that are urgent and important for us to do right now. I can also scroll down to see all of my tasks a little bit more broken out now. And this is going to show me anything from a COI disclosure I need to submit, or responding to a management plan for COI, even responding to a submission correction, certifying something as a PI. I can see all of those tasks on a holistic level across the compliance suite within this dashboard view. Finally, on the dashboard, I also wanted to highlight our ability to track where our reviews are within that submission process. So here on the dashboard, I'm going to be able to see the current state of review for all of my different protocols. This is also going to break out the time and state for all of my different submissions, so I can see when things are signed off on. I'm able to see the time and state for each of these, and this is going to be supportive of that Part 11 compliance for your FDA studies. We do also support the ability to conduct ancillary reviews within IRIS as well. So this is one example of an IRB application that would undergo multiple levels of review, including a feasibility, ancillary IBC, radiation safety, in addition to that IRB review, really making sure all of these different groups have the right eyes on your different applications. And these different workflows can be triggered based on questions within the protocol form, so that way it's automatically routed to those different groups. Now, we've been talking about protocols so far, but I do want to just quickly switch over into my COI dashboard to talk a little bit about those different disclosures, because they do tie into those compliance reviews for your protocol reviewing committees as well. So on the COI dashboard for the researcher, we are going to be able to see various disclosure forms. And as an organization, you can have as many disclosure forms as you need within the system based on your programmatic requirements. They are configurable, including the names as well as the different questions within the form. But really, as a high level, we do support annual campaigns within the system. So within the system, we can view our previous disclosures, clone them, and then resubmit them if nothing has changed. And at the top of our dashboard, we can also see when our next annual report is due. But we do also support other types of disclosures as well, such as the project-specific disclosures as well as study-specific disclosures. And those are going to be tied to a proposal from our sponsored project solution, in addition to any other protocols within Cayuse that may require that COI disclosure to go along with that submission. Now on the dashboard, I just want to quickly highlight our ability to respond to that COI management plan within the system. So you'll see here, I do have a task to respond to that management plan. And this is a really core feature of our COI solution, which is the ability to build management plans and send those proposed strategies to your researcher. Here on this page, the researcher is going to be able to see all of those individual management strategies that have been provided to them. They are then going to be able to respond to each one by one, in addition to providing those additional details and attach any relevant documentation as appropriate. So you're going to be able to combine all of your different management plans and strategies and different workflows within Cayuse with this built-in solution. So we just went through an overview of the transparent dashboard specifically for the researcher, giving them that ease of access to their studies, disclosures, and tasks. Next, let's go through the configurable smart protocol forms. So heading back over onto my protocol dashboard, This is where we are going to be able to see any of the different applications that we are listed on as a study team member. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and open up one of my draft submissions just so you can see how it's been fully broken out. But what I want for you to take away from this presentation is that these forms are 100% configurable. Looking at right now is just a sample form that we have pre-configured in this environment, but all of these questions are going to be tailored to your organization specifically to make sure we're not only capturing those regulatory requirements, but we're also capturing your programmatic requirements as well. Really, one of the main things about these forms is that they do utilize branching logic. So we only want researchers to have to respond to questions as they pertain to their project specifically. So one way that we can do that is to introduce that branching logic, including yes or no questions. So for this example, does this application include a clinical trial? And if the answer is yes, then we will then be prompted to respond to many additional questions, or maybe we would also see some additional sections broken out on the left-hand side of the screen. We do also utilize procedural or different types of drug and device libraries in the system. Procedural may be more tailored towards the IACUC side of the house to be able to incorporate those procedural libraries into the protocol form. But just looking at this example specifically, adding drugs to the IRB protocol form, this is where we can see everything that's being maintained by your IRB staff on the back end of the module so that researchers can easily come in here, select them, add them to the protocol form, and in turn, you're going to make sure you have that clean reporting with the consistent spelling from the drug names within that library list.
A freeze?
I think perhaps. All right, we'll give them a few more minutes. If anyone would like to add some questions to the Q&A, they can answer them when the presentation is finished or after.
There we go. Are we back?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We're in a conference center and I don't think that the internet is super stable here.
Oh, no.
All right, well, let's move forward into that review process. So really thinking about once that protocol is submitted, they're going to be reviewed. So I'm going to go ahead and switch logins to my analyst within the system.
Just check that they can see.
Just want to verify everyone can still see my screen too.
We can.
We good? Okay, perfect. So I did mention earlier that we do have the role-based dashboards within the system, and now we are logged in as an analyst. From this view, we are going to be able to do everything from route submissions through that review process. We can also schedule our meetings and create agendas. We can run reports, and we can also do some additional administrative tasks as well. Going into my submissions queue, we are going to be able to see everything that's currently in that review workflow at the moment, and it's also going to be broken out within various stages depending on the view that this protocol is in. I will mention while we're on this page that we do also support configurable codes or flags for your studies. So this is another component that will be tied to the questions in the protocol form, but it's a really great and easy way to help identify those high-risk studies. So if this is FDA regulated, or if it does involve some type of vulnerable population, you are going to be able to easily flag those studies and run reports on those. Opening up one of these protocols in review, we can kind of walk through the process from start to finish. And the first component is going to be that pre-review process that occurs with your IRB office. On this first page, we are going to be able to see some high-level information such as the study team members, in addition to their current training status, which is pulled in through an integration with your learning management system. Some common ones are CITI, ALAS Learning Library, and other internal systems that you may be using as an organization. And you're also going to be able to see the COI status for any of these researchers if you are also using our COI solution in addition to the protocol management systems. So on this page, we can see a high-level information into if this researcher has submitted that disclosure or not. Within our submission components, this is where we are going to be able to see everything that's involved within this study packet. We're also going to be able to provide inline comments as well as track changes. So within each of these different components, we can open up them. We are going to be able to review the details that the researcher had included within the form, and we are also going to be able to provide those comments within. So that way, when the research team receives these questions, they're going to be able to respond one by one and make changes within the protocol form, which will then appear as track changes for your review. And that leads me into reviewing those track changes in the system. So we can see where changes have been made within the system. Each new version will be version controlled within Cayuse automatically. So you can see the old and the new within each of these different reviews. We can then do a side-by-side comparison to be able to see what has changed between these different versions. So anything that was added will appear green, and anything that was removed will be red and crossed out within Cayuse. So this makes it very easy to identify any change that is made during that review process. Now, we are also going to be able to assign different peoples to these submissions. So that is going to include an analyst. We do support checklists for both the analyst and the reviewers, which are configurable in the same way that our protocol forms are as well. We are going to be able to determine that review process. So here we have examples for the IRB standard reviews, but when we think about IACUC, we also do support the DMR polling period. And then we're also going to be able to assign our reviewers to each of these submissions as well. The final state is going to come with our outcome. And this is where we are going to be able to determine what the outcome is, whether we need to push it back for some changes, whether we need to approve it, whatever the reason is. And then we can issue our letter, which, similar to the form, similar to the checklist, is going to be completely configurable to your organization. So what you see here is just an example of an outcome letter within Cayuse, but just know that this would be branded for your organization, and it would contain all of the protocol details that you determine to be necessary within these letters. So that is an overview into the simplified review process within Cayuse, giving you those flexible workflows for faster reviews. Let's wrap things up with some in-app searching and reporting. So back on my dashboard as the analyst, we are going to be able to see all of our different options for reporting within the system. And something that I really want to highlight here is you'll be able to see we have many pre-configured reports that are available to you upon implementing this solution, but they are also going to be configured and tailored to your specific organizational needs. And they are also going to be tied to specific questions in the protocol form. So any question in that protocol form can be reported on, so you have full, complete access to all of your data within Cayuse. All of these reports are going to be filter driven. So this is one example of studies by department where you are going to be able to apply as many filters as you need in order to really focus on specific information. Otherwise, we also have a select all function. You're going to be able to run those reports in the system, and you can extract these in PDF. You can also extract to Excel. In addition to these on-demand reports that we have within Cayuse, we do also support scheduled reports out of Cayuse as well. So if you know who needs to receive certain data sets at what cadence, you are going to be able to set that up within the system so that way they automatically receive these reports within their inbox at their desired frequency. We do support reporting for different regulatory as well as accrediting agencies. So AHART reporting, ALEC reporting for IACUC, NAH, USDA. We can build all of those different reports in the system so that way you have access to all of those data points that you need for your accreditation and regulatory processes. And that does conclude my demonstration of Cayuse for your streamlined compliance reviews within IRIS. And I'll happily address any questions as they come up.
Thank you so much. We do have one question, and please add your questions into the chat. I know some people joined a little bit later. We have one that's for the SIRB management. Are you able to have unique approval dates for each site?
Yes, that's a great question. The answer is yes. Each site would have their own approval date, and the different site management forms would be nested under that overall umbrella protocol. So that way you can have different submissions for each site as well as the different approval days as well. You are very welcome, Nicole.
I'll give people a few more minutes to type in. Nicole has more. Thank you.
Love it.
For ancillary reviews triggered by questions in the application. Can you create an application for the ancillary committee workflow?
Yeah, that's a great question. The way that we would handle that is if they do answer yes to any of those questions, then additional questions would be broken out within the protocol form. And then all those ancillary committees would be able to see those sections of the form that have broken out in that initial submission. But they would have also their own workspace within Cayuse, so that way they can come in, they can do their own reviews, they can have their own administrative processes, their own reporting, their own committee management. So they have that full functionality, just like what we saw for the IRB here.
But chat, Ruth asked, can you create alerts?
Yes, you can. So you can configure any type of alert in the system. It's typically triggered by a task. So whether it's you're assigned something, something is due for you to submit, you can create those alerts within Cayuse, and you can also configure reminders at whatever cadence you prefer as well. These are great questions, everybody. Yeah, Nicole asked, sorry.
No, go.
Are you able to create custom codes and flags? Yes, you are.
We will be providing a recording of this on the PRIM&R website. And do you have additional ways that people can contact you if they think of questions afterwards? I know sometimes that something triggers later on and I say, I need to ask that.
Yes, absolutely. So the email address on the screen, the hello@cayuse.com. Feel free to email us and we'll answer any questions. On our website, which is just cayuse.com, you can also put in a interested in more information form, and we're happy to answer that as well. And then we have a couple more questions, Catherine. Can you show an example of what the reminder would look like for an investigator?
Yes. So are you thinking an email task in the system?
Your voice broke out for a second. You might have to repeat that.
Sorry. Just wondering, are you thinking about like a task in the system or an email, or maybe both? I can definitely show both. Both, yes. Okay. So on the dashboard, right now we're logged in as an analyst, but this is the same view that the researcher would have. They would receive the task on their dashboard assignment, and then they would be able to click to open each one. The description is going to give them more details on specifically what has been assigned to them. We do also have configuration options. So I can't pull up an email right now. I don't have one on hand, unfortunately, but I will show you how that would be configured within the system by the administrator role. So looking at this board administrative option, we have the review board notification set up here. This is where we can see lots of different types of notifications that you'd be able to create and configure within the system. So looking at our expiring protocols as one example, can add additional notifications. We would be able to add the title. We could determine who would need to receive those notifications affiliated with the protocol, and then configure the content of that email as well. So it is going to be very specific to your organization. This can also include UC, so you can even include, an organizational logo if you would like to have that as well. It's a nice little feature.
Thanks, Catherine. Kent asks, and I can handle this question as well. What does this startup involve, and how long does it typically take to configure the system to get to operations? Really, this is depending upon the complexity of your organization. So on average, we're really looking at about anywhere between 18 to 24 weeks. That also includes whether or not you're going to need a legacy data migration for your active protocols. We do offer standard out of the box forms in order to set you up with something that might be new to your organization, or we can configure the forms based on your specific needs. And there can also be a blend of both of those options.